No one talks about this, but being the strong one is slowly destroying you. You carry everyone, fix everything, smile through the exhaustion, and still feel like you're failing. Because here's the truth no one says out loud. When your worth depends on being useful, rest feels like guilt. And no matter how much you give, it never feels like enough. But maybe that was never your fault to begin with. Have you ever asked yourself, why do I feel like I'm failing, even when I'm doing everything I can? It's not a loud kind of failure. It's quiet. It hides in the spaces where no one looks, in how you keep going, even when you're barely holding it together, in how you help everyone and collapse in silence. You wonder if maybe you're just too sensitive, or if everyone else is better at life than you are. But the truth is, you're not lazy. You're not broken. You're tired. Tired of proving. Tired of chasing worth like it's something outside of you. Tired of showing up with a smile when your heart is heavy. This is emotional burnout, the kind that doesn't come from doing too little, but from trying to be enough for everyone all the time. You bend yourself into 1,000 versions just to fit, but still feel like you're not doing enough. That's not laziness. That's deep emotional fatigue. And no one sees it because you've made it look normal. You check off the list. You do the things, but something's still missing, and it's not effort. It's self-worth, not the kind you earn. The kind you forgot was yours. You keep thinking, if I just get through this week, if I just fix this one thing. But the target always moves, because the voice inside says, you're still not enough. And that voice sounds like truth, because you've heard it for so long. Maybe it came from childhood, when love was conditional and affection had rules. Maybe you were the responsible one, the quiet one, the one who got praise for staying strong, not for being real. And so you started equating love with performance, worth with results, stillness with guilt. And now, even rest feels like failure. Even breathing feels like a luxury you haven't earned. How many nights have you stayed awake, wondering what's wrong with you? Not because someone said it, but because that silence felt like rejection. You replay conversations. You overanalyze your own voice. You carry the weight of self-doubt like it's your fault you're struggling. And the scariest thought? Maybe this is just how life will always feel. Like you're almost enough but never quite. And so you keep performing while your soul waits to exhale. But you're not the only one. You're not crazy. You're not alone. This ache has a name. It's the pain of not feeling good enough, even when you're trying your hardest. It's the weight of feeling unworthy, even when you've done nothing wrong. And if no one ever told you this before, you don't have to earn your right to rest. You don't have to fix yourself to be loved. You are not too much. You are not invisible. You are here. Do you ever feel like your value is tied to how much you do and how well you do it? Like you only matter when you're achieving, helping, fixing, smiling? Even on your worst days, you keep pushing because stopping feels like failure. You cancel your own needs. You silence your pain. You say, I'm fine, so often that even you start to believe it. But deep down, you're drowning. And the scariest part? No one has any idea, because you've become so good at performing peace while falling apart. You weren't born this way. You learned that love had conditions. You learned that to be accepted, you had to be exceptional. You had to be quiet, easy, helpful. So you made yourself small, until being easy to love meant abandoning yourself. You stopped asking for what you needed. You stopped trusting your own feelings. And now, when someone asks how you are, you don't even know the answer. Low self-worth isn't always loud. Sometimes, it looks like overworking, overthinking, overgiving. You say yes to things you don't want. You apologize for taking up space. You feel guilty for resting, even when your body is screaming for it. And even when you're breaking inside, you still show up with a smile. because being the strong one became your whole identity. But strength without softness becomes a prison, and you're tired of being locked inside your own performance. Have you ever looked around and realized no one's actually asking you to do all this? You're the one who keeps raising the bar and punishing yourself when you don't reach it. You replay every mistake like a broken record. You shame yourself for being human. You call it accountability, but it's actually self-abandonment. And the voice that says you should be better by now isn't your truth, it's your wound. And yet you keep going, even when you can't sleep, even when you can't feel. You wake up already behind, already proving, already pleasing, because a part of you believes that if you stop, you'll disappear. That your worth is tied to how well you perform painlessly. That healing has to look graceful, but it doesn't. Sometimes healing is ugly, loud, confusing, and you're allowed to feel all of it. I want you to ask yourself and be honest. Who are you when you're not performing? When you're not being productive? When no one's watching and no one needs you to smile? Does that version of you deserve love too? Do you even know who that is anymore? Because the truth is, self-worth isn't earned, it's remembered. You've just spent a lifetime forgetting. And this moment, this breath, might be the beginning of remembering. Have you ever looked at yourself in the mirror and thought, what's wrong with me? Not because someone said it, but because you've carried that question for years. Sometimes, the voice inside your head isn't yours. It's an echo of the past, still repeating itself in silence. It's the voice you heard when you didn't get picked, when your feelings were too much, when love felt earned instead of given. That's not just a thought, it's an old wound still bleeding. We don't talk enough about inner child wounds, about the little version of you that learned to tiptoe around people's moods. The one who believed that being quiet meant being safe, that helping everyone meant you were good, that not needing anything made you lovable. So you started earning your place in the world by being useful, agreeable, invisible. And every time someone left, or got angry, or looked disappointed, you blamed yourself. You carry that child in your body now. In your shoulders, tense from years of trying to be enough. In your chest, where the breath gets stuck before you speak. In your stomach, where you hold the fear of rejection. She still asks, did I do good? Am I in trouble? Will they leave if I say how I really feel? And because you never got the answer back then, you keep searching for it now in all the wrong places. Every relationship becomes a test. Every silence feels like punishment. Every mistake feels like confirmation that you're still not enough. This is why self-doubt sticks so deeply. It grew roots in childhood. You weren't loved for who you were. You were loved when you performed, when you behaved, when you impressed. And now that old pattern plays out again and again, even when no one else is judging you anymore. Maybe you've never said this out loud, but I will. You were never too much. You were never a burden. You were a child trying to survive in an adult world that didn't know how to love gently. And now, you're an adult still carrying a scared child inside. One who needs to be held. Not fixed. Not silenced. Just seen. Just heard. Just held. And if no one else ever did that for you, we will do it now together. Put your hand on your chest, right here. Can you feel her? She's still asking, am I enough yet? And this time you get to answer. Not with performance, not with perfection, but with presence. A soft voice that says, yes, you are. You always were. Have you ever felt like collapsing, but didn't? Because you knew no one would catch you. You've been the strong one for so long that falling apart doesn't even feel like an option. You're the one who holds it together, who keeps going, who stays calm when everyone else is falling apart. But no one asks what it costs you. No one sees the weight on your back, only the smile on your face. And some days you just want someone to say, you don't have to be strong right now. Strength has become your identity, not because you chose it, but because you had to. Because when you were vulnerable, people disappeared. When you were honest, they called you dramatic. So you built walls and called it resilience. You shut down and called it independence. You stopped asking for help because it always came with disappointment. But being self-sufficient isn't the same as being at peace. And being strong isn't the same as being okay. Feeling invisible doesn't always mean no one's around. It can mean you're surrounded, but no one really sees you. They see what you do. They admire your strength. But they don't notice the nights you can't sleep. The mornings when your chest is tight and your mind won't stop racing. The numbness you call fine. The burnout you label busy. The silence you've learned to carry like armor. And it's not just emotional. It's physical. You hold tension in your shoulders, in your jaw, in your gut. Your body speaks the exhaustion you keep denying. You wake up tired. You go to bed wired. You're on edge even in stillness. This isn't about being lazy or negative. This is what happens when the soul goes too long without rest. And the heart forgets what it feels like to be soft. You've been the one others lean on, but who do you lean on? You've given strength like water from a well that's never been refilled. And now you're empty, but you don't know how to stop. Because stopping feels like failure. Like disappointing the people who depend on you. But here's the truth. No one can carry it all forever. Not even you. And maybe you were never meant to. So what if, just for tonight, you gave yourself permission to not hold it all together? What if you let yourself be held? Not by someone else, but by something bigger? The universe, the stillness, the breath. A presence that doesn't ask you to be anything. That doesn't need you to earn rest. That says, Serena, you don't have to be strong right now. You just have to be. Let's be honest. Healing has become just another thing we think we have to get right. You try journaling, meditating, reading all the books. You say the affirmations, repeat the mantras, drink the tea. But deep down, you still feel heavy, still tired, still disconnected. Because healing doesn't work when you're doing it to fix yourself. It only begins when you stop trying to prove you're worth fixing. And that takes more courage than anything else. You've spent so long trying to become someone better, someone calmer, kinder, more spiritually aligned. But what if healing isn't about becoming someone else? What if it's about remembering who you were before the world told you to change? You're not here to impress the universe. You're here to reconnect with yourself, with the version of you who existed before the shame, before the fear, before the burnout. And she's still in there, even if you haven't heard her voice in a long time. It looks like crying when nothing's wrong, saying no when you don't have a good enough reason, letting yourself rest even when the dishes are still in the sink. It's choosing presence over perfection. It's letting your body shake instead of holding it in. It's going to bed feeling unproductive and knowing you still deserve peace. That's self-acceptance healing. And it's not performative. It's honest. You don't have to heal gracefully. You don't have to smile through the pain. Some days, the bravest thing you can do is sit with your feelings without trying to change them. That's not failure. That's maturity. That's what it means to give your inner child a safe place to land. Not a perfect place, just a quiet one, where she doesn't have to try so hard to be enough. If you're still struggling, still asking, why do I always feel like I'm never enough? It's okay. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're in the middle of a long, hard process that no one applauds. Self-worth isn't something you earn. It's something you remember. And you're remembering now, breath by breath. Not by doing more, but by letting go of who you're not. So maybe tonight, you don't need a plan. You don't need answers. You just need to feel safe enough to be real. To sit in silence without guilt. To rest without explaining. To breathe like the world isn't asking anything from you. Because right now it isn't. Right now, the only thing the universe wants from you is to be. Let me ask you something you probably never heard growing up. Who told you you had to earn your place in the world? That you had to do more, fix more, give more just to be worthy of love? Because they were wrong. Your worth was never supposed to be a question. It was never meant to depend on your productivity, your performance, your perfection. You weren't born to hustle for validation. You were born already whole. You just forgot because the world taught you to. You've spent years looking for proof that you're enough. In people, in feedback, in overachievement. But that proof doesn't last, and deep down you know it. Because validation versus self-worth isn't the same thing. Validation is external, fleeting, conditional. Self-worth is internal, quiet, unshakable. It doesn't show up with applause. It shows up when you stop running, when you sit still and hear the truth again. The truth is you are enough, not because you earned it, but because you exist, because the universe doesn't make mistakes, because even when you're doubting, breaking, barely functioning, your soul still carries light. And that light, it doesn't dim when you're lost. It just waits until you're ready to see it again. So if you're tired, if you can't sleep, if your thoughts are spinning and your heart is sore, I want you to remember this. You don't need to prove anything right now. You don't need to change anything. You don't need to be okay for others to stay. Right now, your only job is to breathe, to be soft with yourself, to begin again. And if the pain comes back tomorrow, that's okay. This isn't a one-time fix. It's a self-love journey, a remembering, a returning. Some days you'll feel strong. Some days you'll feel like a mess. Both are part of healing emotional wounds. And in both, you are still loved, still worthy, still held. So close your eyes, place your hand on your heart, and whisper back to the child within you. I see you. I hear you. You don't have to try so hard anymore. Let those words settle into your body, into your breath, into every part of you that still aches to belong. Because you do. You belong. You're enough. You always were. And if no one ever told you this before, you are not too much. You are not too broken. You are not alone. You belong exactly as you are. So let me ask you, what would change if you stopped performing and started trusting yourself? What if you didn't have to earn your rest or your worth? What would life feel like if you finally believed, I am enough even in stillness? You've carried so much for so long. Now it's your turn to be carried by truth, by breath, by something greater than pressure. Let this be the night you stop running from yourself and come back home. Tell me in the comments, which part of this spoke to the part of you that's been hiding? I read every word, and you never have to explain your pain here. If this gave you even one breath of relief, save it, return to it, share it with someone who also feels invisible in their strength, and subscribe to Serena Sanctuary, not for noise, but for quiet truths that bring you back to who you really are. Because this isn't just another video. This is your place to remember. You were always enough, and you never had to prove it.